Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Shakedown Tuesday, and here's why. The great Kevin Ryan standing by. Kevin Ryan standing by. Yes, that Kevin Ryan, the man went from one end of the state to the other in a bus, running the Democratic primary, trying to tell you folks that you've lost control of your democracy. He tried. He begged you. Listen to me. What I'm saying, it's bought and owned. Yeah, you didn't listen to him. At least he didn't get elected. We'll talk about that. We have a bunch of things we want to talk about. His new gig, ranked choice voting, Pete Hegseth, who's supposedly our defense leader above partisan politics, going to Tennessee to work for Ed Gulrine against Tommy Massey, because apparently Massey's not MAGA enough for Donald Trump. And then, man, this is something I really want to talk to about. It's kind of weird. George Washington, was he a deist? And that was spurred by a New York Times story that talked about how the MAGA movement has embraced this notion of George Washington as a fervent Christian who believed that Christianity should rule our government. Like we should be known as a Christian government, not like neutral on the whole issue. I always thought we were supposed to be neutral on this whole issue, that we recognize everybody's right to practice religion, but the government does not reflect one particular religion. MAGA is making a strong move and the opposite direction. And so I'd love to hear Kevin's thoughts on that. Before I do, I just want to acknowledge one thing. When you hear this show, it may be like a week or so after we drop it. So I'm just going to tell you what's in the news today, and I have no idea how this particular story will play out by the time you hear Kevin and myself talking. Or, by the way, I might drop it earlier, so it may have some relevance. Who knows? But anyway, here's the headline in today's New York Times. After Trump drops suit, U.S. allots $1.8 billion as redress to his allies. Man, this is a total freaking scam. The powers that be in the state of Illinois, if some Democrat had tried this in Cook County, they'd be screaming and yelling. Yep. They got old boy Madigan in prison right now, you know. He's screaming and hollering, oh my God, I'm outraged. But you don't hear a word from corporate Chicago. Now, well, come on out from under there, guys. No, you're scared? Okay. And this is just freaking unbelievable. I'll just boil it down. Trump sued the IRS. I don't know how a sitting president could sue the IRS, claiming they were unfairly targeting his allies. Then so he controls the IRS. He is the president. Then they announced they're going to have a settlement. Big shock there. So the guys he's suing are his appointees. So we'll settle with you, boss. And then to avoid having the settlement reviewed by an independent judge, Judge Kathleen Williams, because the judge has the right to look at the settlement and go, this is ridiculous. It's absurd. I don't even know why you filed the lawsuit. This is nonsense. I'm throwing it out. He announces he's dropping the lawsuit, and is instead going to set aside $1.8 billion. You know, I've complained about TIF slush funds, ladies and gentlemen, but $1.8 billion. That beats any TIF slush fund the city of Chicago has ever created. Kevin Ryan knows what I'm talking about. He's from the southwest side of Chicago. He's from Chicago. And so he knows how the game is played. $1.8 billion. And here's the thing. So they say in the article, this is a great reporting by the New York Times. I got to give them credit. Quote, I'm reading from the New York Times. The announcement invited immediate pushback and raised the possibility of legal challenges outside Trump's original lawsuit, though it remained unclear who would be able to show that they had been harmed by the creation of the fund and therefore had a right to sue. Now, I understand exactly what the authors of that sentence were getting at when they wrote that sentence, because I am no lawyer. It's true. I never went to law school. It's true. But I've been covering Chicago politics since before Kevin Ryan was born. And one of the slick things I've noticed about Cook County judges, when someone files a suit about something that Daley did or Aram did, they go, well, they throw it out. You don't have standing. I'm like, wait, you could do that? You could just throw out a legitimate lawsuit with raises important issues because someone doesn't have standing? And they go, no, you're not. I remember a lawyer explaining this to me. He got all mad at me when I didn't understand it because it just blew my mind. Of course we have standing. We're taxpayers. These are taxpayers' dollars. If we don't have standing, who does? No, Ben, you have to prove, you have to establish that you have been hurt in a specific way beyond just being a taxpayer. Beyond just being a taxpayer? Oh my God. I would thought that would be the whole thing. But that's the game they play. See, that's the weird thing. They pretend it's a legit system, and it's not a legit system. This is what I learned covering Chicago politics. It's not a legit system. It's not really fair. It's like rules that are controlled by powerful people who understand how to play every rule, know how to play the system. Judges who are appointed by the same people. I know I sound like some old lefty on a bench in a park screaming and ranting, but sometimes those old lefties are right. This is unbelievable. So I understand exactly what they're saying. I'm thinking 1.8 billion. That would, if you just gave 1.8 billion to the city of Chicago, as opposed to giving it to like January 6th insurrectionists who would probably be at the front of the line for this handout. These are people who claim they were wrongfully persecuted by the Biden administration. Oh, like we didn't watch you ransacking the Capitol with your, like they were a hockey stick. I'll never forget to do with the hockey stick, hitting the guard over the head. We didn't see that. No, that was just like a little stroll through the Capitol. Is that what that was? So if instead of giving it to those guys, it took 1.8 billion and gave it to Chicago public schools. Can you imagine? Can you imagine my programs we could have? My goodness, we have, like we were just talking about this the other day. Kevin, I don't know if you follow this, but the debate clubs in the Chicago public schools having financial strain. There's not enough money to pay for debate. Man, what a great activity debate is. I know I sound like a nerd. Debate, chess, intramurals, all those things, after school activities, get kids thinking about like how they could take what they're learning at school right now and feed their strengths. Oh, so many great arguers there are in the city of Chicago, in the Chicago public schools, that could really learn from a like disciplined debate program how to channel your thoughts into the effective cogent argument. But no, we don't have enough money for debate. We don't have enough money for chess. We don't have enough money for football. We don't have enough money for track. We don't have enough money for any kind of basketball program that's not in a big time high school basketball program, which raises money from the shoe manufacturers. I could go on and on. So I do believe that's standing. I would go before Clarence Thomas and Sammy Alito myself and go, this constitutes standing. Sam Alito.
I don't think Clarence Thomas would care very much for the rule of law.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting. Kevin jumped in, and he's right. He's absolutely right. Kevin, welcome back, young man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Kevin was on the show a couple times when he was a candidate for Senate, long shot candidate, to put it mildly. He ended up, there were three big known candidates who had money, to access to money, and one of Kevin's crusading themes was how we have to get money out of politics. So lo and behold, the people with the most money finished 1, 2, 3. Isn't that funny how that works, Kevin Ryan? Talk a little bit of the lessons you learned from your campaign.
Yeah, so I went into the race, knowing that money in politics is the biggest problem crippling our democracy right now. And so the question is, okay, well, how do you get money out of politics? Well, I believe we start by electing people who reject big money in politics. And so that's what we did. Instead of spending my time on the phone day in and day out with donors, usually from out of state, who are going to make the max contribution of $3,500, I spent my time on the road in a bus talking to ordinary people, and they would donate what they could, $1 here, $10 there. We literally would pass a hat around to, keep our bus fueled and keep our staff paid. And we raised around $140,000. And with that, we spent less than $2.50 per vote that we got. So I got around 62,000 votes. And compared to the winner spent around $60 per vote. And so it goes back to money buys name recognition, right? So if you don't have any name recognition, you don't really have a chance to reach the voters, because you could run a campaign like I did and go all over the state and meet as many people in person as you can. Like, I'm pretty sure I met probably 90% of the people who voted for me, right? And you can do all that. But as long as the playing field is not level, as long as people can spend as much as they want on their campaigns, then those with the money are going to buy the name recognition. And so that's what happened, right? Everyone knew Juliana Stratton, everyone knew Roger Christian-Morley, because they bought the name recognition. Now, what I find interesting is that the winner, the Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, she's been Lieutenant Governor for the last 7 years, but she didn't have that name recognition going into this race that she had to buy to win, because in the last 7 years, I don't know how much she's been traveling the state and trying to connect with voters, because many of the places I've gone to, they say that I was the first statewide candidate to come by in the last 8 years, and that they haven't seen any elected officials in quite some time. So I was trying to reverse that trend to focus on voters, especially those that feel forgotten downstate, as opposed to focusing on donors. And so the key takeaway is that we just have to continue this. We have to continue marching forward, and that's what I'm doing now. Instead of losing and to just giving up, I take it on the chin, and to pull a card out of Trump's playbook, I'm just going to call it a win, right? Because we got 62,000 votes, and if you remember during the debates that were televised, they wouldn't allow me to participate in the debates. They only let those three with the most money on stage. Yet on election night, how many pictures did you see on the news? There were 4, because I had earned enough of the vote to be on the screen with the other candidates to show that the people put me there, the voters put me there, even though the powers that be who reinforce our broken system tried to keep me out of it.
It's funny because your picture would have been on the station that kept you off the stage. That'd be like, well, this other guy, Kevin Ryan, you don't know about him because we kept him away from